Break out your heavy coat, then your raincoat. I'm tracking the coldest weather since March, a chance for frost and widespread rain.
Then extensive water damage in a local home, displacing a woman for months.
Frankly, just feeling unsafe. I mean, when I move back into this neighborhood, is this going to happen again?
Only on WRAL, why she and her neighbors say it's only part of a bigger problem with the water company. And happening now, hear Wake County parents' final plea to school leaders to reconsider plans to move thousands of students.
Something strange is going on in the Holly Springs area. Homes flooded, not because of storms, no, but because of water pressure problems. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. It's happening to people who use the water company Aqua Water. This video from inside a home where the pipes burst. They had to take apart the ceiling and walls. There's water damage everywhere.
What a mess. Some other pictures tell more of that story. They pulled up the floors, found what appears to be mold. Another home saw their water turn brown. You can see it in the toilet, coming out of the sink as well. This all happening at several homes right there in that area.
Oh, how frustrating it must be for these homeowners. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is in the McKenzie neighborhood where most of these complaints are coming from. Aaron, explain the problem that's going on in this community.
So, Ashley, I do want to break it down for you. So the Stipe family, normally they would be enjoying themselves on their porch and you would see lights coming from this home. But that is not the case simply because of the extensive amount of damage as a result of massive flooding. And this is all a result. They all use the water provider Aqua North Carolina. In fact, Jenny Stipe took us inside her home this evening so we could see for ourselves. She tells us that it was last Wednesday, the day after Election Day. The water provider happened to be doing some flushing in this neighborhood, and several neighbors had similar issues when it came to their water pressure, where apparently this pressure was so massive that it led to a pipe bursting in Stipe's home. She took us inside. We could also see a lot of the restoration work that crews had to do when it came to stripping apart the floors and taking much of the walls apart. She's definitely frustrated, and as a result, the family is going to be out of this home for the next 4 to 6 months, staying in Airbnbs in the meantime.
Oh. 6 months.
Wow.
My good. So, Aaron, curious. I'm thinking, I didn't know this could happen. Has this sort of thing happened before? Has it happened with this company, Aqua North Carolina, before?
Yeah, so you know what? I've been checking several Facebook neighborhood groups, and I had people text me, and we saw about 7 homeowners who came out here tonight. One person saying it's always something when Aqua North Carolina comes out here to do work. In addition to the massive flooding that the Stipes reported, you had several people who were saying that their toilets were leaking water. They started rattling, and then we even had one person who said that their house nearly caught on fire because some of the water that leaked onto their electrical panel. Apparently, the water pressure was so intense that it caused their water pressure heater to explode. And as you can imagine, you have several people, including Jenny Stipe, that are worried for their safety.
I'm frankly just feeling unsafe. I mean, when I move back into this neighborhood, is this going to happen again? Is this going to happen to my neighbor down the street in 6 months? And you know, we deserve quality water, and we deserve to not have our pipes be bursted due to them flushing the pipes for routine maintenance.
Oh my. Yeah, you can imagine she's feeling nervous. How is Aqua North Carolina responding to all this?
So they did send us a statement late this afternoon saying that they have received several complaints from the neighbors in this neighborhood, and that they have moved them through the claims process. But of course, nothing can get fixed overnight. It's going to take some time. It's costing tens of thousands of dollars for people like Stipe to get things fixed. And on our late news at 10 on Fox 50, you'll hear a little bit more when it comes to that statement from Aqua North Carolina, and if many of these homeowners believe this is enough.
I
feel their frustration for them.
Understand why they feel that way. All right, Aaron Thomas, we'll check back in with you, Aaron. Thank you.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. I have a traffic alert happening right now. If you live in Creedmoor, you're waiting on someone to get home from Wake County. They could be stuck in traffic because of a crash. This is on Creedmoor Road, not too far from the Wake-Granville County line, right around Old Weaver Trail. Serious crash, reportedly with injuries. And I just measured on that northbound side of Creedmoor Road, we're talking about a 1.5 mile long traffic jam leading up to that Old Weaver Trail intersection. We're working to get some details about that crash. Not sure when they're going to be able to get those lanes cleared up.
All right, Brian. Hey, did you feel the cooler temperatures out there today? The sun was shining. It was beautiful midday. You know, it actually felt like fall today. And Kat, we've got temperatures dropping, a frost advisory tonight.
Yes, we're going to be in the 30s again tonight for only the second time this season. A frost advisory is in effect, including all of the triangle and most of our viewing area from 4 to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. There is one limiting factor here. A light breeze in the morning may help the frost from settling on any kind of a widespread basis, but there could still be some patches of frost, especially in sheltered areas. 33 is our forecast low in Roxborough and South Hill, 36 in Durham and Rocky Mount, 38 in Raleigh, 37 in Southern Pines. Make sure to bring your pets inside tonight. High pressure will be right overhead, leading to a very chilly day throughout the day tomorrow. And then we lock in that cold air as our next weather maker approaches from the west. This is going to bring a round of some widespread rain and some needed rain our way during the day on Thursday. Thursday will be a chilly rain, just 53 degrees with rain expected throughout the day. That's just one of 3 weather headlines we're tracking: the frost, the rain, and we were watching the tropics. Some new information just came in from the National Hurricane Center. I'll have that for you coming up.
All right, we will check back in with Kat in just a bit. Thank you to Kat. So let's get you caught up on some of today's other big headlines. Here are the 5 things you should know right now. In the last 72 hours, 8 people have been shot in Durham. 3 of these people died. Just after midnight, Durham police responded to Leadenham Street for a shots fired call there, the same place someone was shot on Sunday. One person had to be taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police found the other person dead. Just before 10 a.m., another person was shot and killed, this time on Holloway Street. Durham police haven't released any information on any of the arrests in these cases as of now, but we'll keep asking those questions. One person was taken to the hospital after a fire in Cary this afternoon. Some video here from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows this scene on Gregory Drive as crews were working to put out this fire at a duplex there. Investigators believe an unattended candle may have caused this fire to start. The one person who was treated had minor injuries and some smoke inhalation. Hopefully they'll be better soon. Students in Granville County protested the decision to close Central High School at the end of this school year. Students will be reassigned to two other schools in that area when that school closes. 2 middle schools will merge into one and move onto Central High's campus. A lot of changes there. This afternoon, school leaders continue to work through the timeline of those transitions as students obviously not happy about all this.
The government is investigating complaints that engines can fail in nearly 1.5 million Hondas and Acuras. The investigation covers Honda and Acura models made between 2016 and 2020. You know, Honda actually recalled about 250,000 cars last November. And how about this? It was to fix the very same problem. Speaking of cars, electric vehicle maker VinFast is getting a new influx of cash to the tune of $3.3 billion. It's all from a fresh round of funding from the company's founder and parent firm. It's called Vin Group. The money will not go through until the company breaks even, and that's not expected to happen until 2026. VinFast, as you know, is currently building a mega site in Chatham County. You also might remember in July, VinFast announced a delay at that site. It was supposed to open this year. That has since been pushed back to 2028. Happening right now, families will have their last chance to share their feedback on Wake School's student reassignment plan. It comes as the number of students grow and the new schools are being built in the district to better accommodate that growth. WRAL's Julian Grace has been watching as families plead their case to stop the reassignment.
Parents showed up here minutes before the meeting was scheduled to start. They had signs in hand and they walked right inside for the meeting. The district says the reassignments are to accommodate the tremendous growth Wake County is experiencing. Some schools are over capacity and even closed off to new families. The district has held 10 separate information sessions, focus groups, and tonight will be a public comment session. District leaders say the assignments are unavoidable, but parents believe the district can do more.
I think they're acknowledging that they have read and received our words. How they go beyond that is a mystery. I think they have not taken into consideration our experience as community members, as parents of the kids that the schools are trying to reassign.
We will be inside for that discussion tonight, and we'll have a new update for you later tonight at 10 and 11. For now, reporting in Cary, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
And some breaking news in the last 10 minutes from the Wake County School Board. The vice chair is resigning. Monika Johnson Hostler says that her last day is going to be December 30th. She won election to the state House of Representatives last week. So they're going to open applications soon for her replacement on the school board, and that person will serve on the board through 2026. Johnson Hostler has been on the Wake County School Board since 2014 and represents much of southern Wake County, including Fuquay-Varina.
All right, there you go. Brian, thank you. So are wages across the U.S. failing to keep up with the inflation that we have seen? It probably feels that way to a lot of people.
Yeah, sure, but the numbers are complicated. Let's fact check the politicians and dig into the data. Let's get a better picture of where we really are. We're back in 2 minutes.
Democrats have been doing a bit of soul searching after the presidential election. Independent U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders says it's partly because the party hasn't done enough for the working class.
And Paul Spey checks some of his numbers for PolitiFact.
If we adjust for inflation, are wages lower today than they were 50 years ago? Well, that's what Bernie Sanders told CNN this weekend. Take a look.
It's not that the Biden administration did not do a lot of good things, but it has to be put into an overall context where in the last 50 years, if you could believe it, real inflation accounted for weekly wages are lower today than they were 50 years ago.
Is that right? Well, when we asked the senator's office about this, they provided us with some data that did not quite match up with what Sanders said. They said average weekly earnings for blue-collar workers who are not in management in any way are lower now than they were in 1973. That's a pretty specific group, though. If we look at data for multiple income brackets, we can see that wages have grown more slowly over time, but there's still some growth here. And if we look at median weekly wages for all full-time workers, we can see that wages have outpaced inflation by about 10% over 50 years. It's not much, but it's clear that the wages haven't gone down, as Sanders said. And that's why the Truth Meter rates his claim false. We kept the data pretty simple here, but if you want to get in the weeds on this issue, check out our full story at WRAL.com.
Okay, so you just heard that, right? Wages haven't gone down across the United States, and that had us asking, what do they look like in North Carolina? And what does the future hold?
So to answer this, we have to look at two major things here, wages and then, of course, inflation. So let's split this up. Ashley, you handle wages. I'll tackle the inflation part.
Oh, okay, got it. Now, this sounds odd, but figuring out how much people make on average it's really not always an exact science. It depends on who you ask and which numbers you look at. For example, the Bureau of Labor Statistics puts the average wage at around $59,000. Forbes crunched the numbers and found North Carolina's average annual salary is just over $56,000 a year. And the U.S. Census Bureau says the median family income is just over $61,000 a year. So there's some discrepancies, right? Why are all these numbers different? Because wages, salaries, and income are all different things. You know, wages are flexible. They fluctuate based on how much time you work, like if you get more money for working overtime. Salaries are fixed. No matter how much you work, that's your pay. And incomes really factor in a big umbrella. That includes all the ways you make money, whether it's through your job, trading stocks, betting a couple bucks on the Canes game. And since more than half of American workers are paid hourly with wages, we want to focus on that, okay? In 1974, the average hourly wage in North Carolina was $3.28, less than half of today's minimum wage. You do the math, and that means on average, a 40-hour work week paid about $6,800 a year. Oh, that's it. Today, the average hourly wage in North Carolina is $28, adding up to $59,000 a year. But not so fast, right? Because of course, we have to factor in inflation, Dan.
Exactly. So let's adjust those yearly wages from 1974 to reflect what inflation does over time. And today in 2024, that amount of money would be worth $43,633. So going back to what Bernie Sanders said about wages not keeping up, that also doesn't appear to be true when you zoom in just on North Carolina. The trouble is, these are averages. You mix a whole bunch of people making low wages with a whole bunch of people making higher wages, and it gives you a different number. It's part of why that number appears higher than it did in 1974. Are we all better off, or just a few of us? Consider this. Prices have gone up 21% in just the past 2 years. They've gone up 31% in the past 10 years. Here is the yearly rate of inflation dating back to 2004. The number is almost always above zero, meaning that the prices are always rising. Sometimes they rise fast, other times they rise slow. They only go down and dip below that negative when things are really tough. Early 2009, right in the middle of the Great Recession. Nobody wants another one of those. And inflation dipping into the negative comes with lost jobs, closed businesses, home foreclosures. We've been talking about this all for a little while now, so why don't we hand it over to somebody who knows a lot more. An NC State economist said this when we asked them about it.
The reason prices aren't going to go down is right now everything is up. Wages especially are up, even though they haven't kept pace with inflation. So you're not going to expect businesses to go back to 2019 prices because people are not going to accept 2019 wages. So again, the goal here is to get the inflation rate, the gain in prices every month, low enough such that the average person can keep up in terms of higher earnings.
I know this is a lot to chew on, right? We've just thrown a lot of numbers at people, but really what this all boils down to is, do prices need to go down or do wages need to go up? So
it's a delicate balance because, no matter which direction one of these numbers goes, the other will respond accordingly. What do you think the answer is? This is the sort of subject that we all kind of love to chew on and figure out, go a little bit deeper. It impacts and touches all of our lives and families differently. So send us an email. Send an email to dan@WRAL.com. Let me know if you're interested in this topic. Tell me what's on your mind. Of course, we will always go in depth.
Kat?
And we're keeping an eye on the tropics. Yes, it's November, but we still have an area to watch, and this one could become a pretty prominent system for mid-November. Unfortunately, the next name on the list is Sarah, and I think we're going to have Sarah develop right in this region here pretty soon. We just got in word from the National Hurricane Center. They're giving this a 70% chance now of developing within the next 48 hours. For perspective, just a couple of hours ago, that chance was 40%. It has been at 90% overall over the next week for the past days. So we're going to be watching this closely. Model plots are available for it now, and it does show kind of a little loop in this region. That's what most of our models are showing, is some stalling over here as we get into the weekend, and then it quickly gets swept up to the north as we look ahead to next week. Here's the European model and the American model. Doesn't matter which is which here. One's in red, one is in white. They both hang out through Monday at 2 a.m. in this region. As we get into next week, notice picking up some steam, moving faster, and then we'll be watching the Bahamas, Cuba, South Florida, all for potential impacts by the middle and end of next week from a tropical system that could even become a hurricane. Here at home, we're not expecting local impacts from that system the way it looks now, but we do finally have some non-tropical rain on the way, and boy, do we need it. Here's the thing, though. It's going to be a chilly rain for us on Thursday, highs in the 50s with the rain. Just to our west in the Triad, Charlotte, we're talking about highs just in the 40s. And this could be a decent amount of rain. The new run of the American model inching up our rainfall totals even more. So it's kind of following the trend of the European model. With about an inch of rain, this would be through Friday at noon. So some of that rain could linger Thursday night and early Friday. Outside tonight, it's a nice clear but chilly night. 56 with a dew point of 41. The air's dry. The winds will lighten up a bit tonight, and we also have clear skies. Pretty much everything you need for a pretty chilly start tomorrow morning. We'll wake up to temperatures in the 30s, and this does bring the potential for some patchy frost, though a light wind in the morning may help to keep some of that frost from settling. 59 will be our high tomorrow. It's a nice, dry, cool fall day, and then a chilly day Thursday. You need the jacket, your favorite cozy sweater, an umbrella, all of it Thursday. Some of the rain sticks around early Friday, but we clear out in time for Friday night plans. Over the weekend, it looks dry and pretty nice. Highs in the mid to upper 60s, pretty much right where we should be in November. Next week, those 70s are above normal, but a little bit closer to normal than those 80s from last week.
All right, Kat, thank you. Hey, we've got two more things we want to tell you about. The greatest showman's history in North Carolina and a deer wanted dead or alive. Both stories after the break.
Back here in the WRAL Live Center, we just learned that Donald Trump is nominating Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary. He is an Army National Guard officer, and he's been a Fox News co-host for the past 8 years. In this statement, Trump says that nobody fights harder for the troops and that he'll be a patriotic champion for our peace through strength policy.
All right. Thank you, Brian. So tonight's one last thing is kind of a 2-for-1. I suppose you could call it two last things, whatever. The rules are made to be broken. A deer, we should start here, in Silver Lake is wanted apparently dead or alive. The fire department there posted a flyer. Apparently this deer rammed its way into the fire station, caused all kind of damage, and then ran off. They caught it on surveillance, and now they want it dead or alive. I got to tell you, it doesn't sound great for the deer. Haven't heard of many deer being captured alive. I'm not even sure that's legal. Can you I think you have to. I think
Good
you have
luck.
To, yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of animals in unlikely places, today marks 188 years since P.T. Barnum visited Rocky Mount. It was his first stop on record with his own circus troupe. If you look closely, you can see the elephants walking along the train tracks. Do you see that there? You can see their tails. Barnum actually gave a sermon to around 300 people. In the years that followed, you know the rest of this story. He'd become known as the greatest showman on earth.
They weren't dealing with the same kind of regulatory practices we are nowadays.
No, I don't think it would fly.
Elephants out there on the... Dumbo can fly. That's an elephant that can fly. You seen that one?
Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 on Fox 50 and 11 on WRAL.
Have a good night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.